When it comes to asset hiding and asset discovery, one of the questions that comes up quite a bit is a CPN, or a credit privacy number. And this number is often advertised by mostly scammers as a means to hide your identity or to get a new credit report. And these companies will charge you hundreds or thousands of dollars to start over with a new credit history by getting a CPN. And for people with bad credit, sometimes they'll fall prey to this. But in some cases, scammers who are trying to hide assets think that by getting a new CPN, they can put assets under that identifier rather than their social security number and hide assets. In reality, this is not going to work. And as a firm that does a great deal of asset discovery and asset recovery, somebody putting an asset like a bank account into a CPN is not going to do anything to hide that bank account. First of all, a lending institution or financial institution is not going to allow you to put assets, a bank account, credit deposit type accounts into a CPN. This is only to be used for credit cards, for debt, for loans. And even then, there's a lot of restrictions. So if somebody walks into a bank and says, look, I want to take all my money out of this account and put it into a CPN, it's not going to work. The bank's not going to let you do it. It's called money laundering. The bank would reject it, and they would even probably file a SAR, suspicious activity report, that you even tried to do it. Even if somehow there was a CPN used to create a financial account, even a debt account, it has to be tied to a social security number in most cases. So it's still going to cross-reference. A CPN was designed by the credit agencies to help people with privacy. If their identity was stolen, if they were hacked and they want to use a different number, it's not designed, or have a different number you can give out. It's not designed to conceal or change your identity with a social security number. When we do an asset search for bank accounts or credit accounts, if there's a CPN, it's still going to show up for that person. So if you're somebody trying to hide assets, don't try to use a CPN as a means to conceal assets. It won't work. It'll be easy to find. If you are a creditor that's looking for assets in the name of a person, don't worry if they try to do a CPN. In fact, the activity and the paper trail that they created in creating that credit protection number, that CPN, probably created more ability to discover assets than if they hadn't done anything whatsoever. Here's a good example from Experian, one of the major 3 credit bureaus, and their article is called "The Truth About CPNs," and they're talking about mostly hiding bad credit. Companies selling CPNs market them as replacement social security numbers, promoting the idea that CPNs are legitimate. For example, one site advertising them says they're fully tri-merged with Social Security Administration. In reality, these companies are scam artists. Remember that even the scam companies tell you that it's merged with your Social Security number. So a CPN was originally designed as a means for somebody to help protect their identity from identity theft. So you give out this number instead of your Social Security number, but it merges with your Social Security number. It's not a replacement of your Social Security number. And these companies will charge you money, sometimes thousands of dollars. They may tell you to provide false information, different address. They'll pretend this is a way to protect your identity, but they're really directing you to create a false identity. But maybe for a low-level creditor, they may not find it, but even those inquiries are going to find your true identity very, very easily. The IRS uses taxpayer identification numbers, Social Security numbers, and EIN numbers, and ITIN numbers, and they're used under special circumstances to some non-resident aliens for ITINs. But it's not designed to hide assets. It's not going to work because any financial institution that holds assets in a bank account is required to get a true taxpayer identification number. There's a federal law, and actually it's international at this point, that's know your customer requirements, KYC requirements, that they have to know the true identity of any depositor. They can't use an artificial number that's created either by the private sector or by even a credit reporting agency. So don't worry about CPNs. If we do an investigation and we do find somebody using a CPN, that's a good thing, because it's evidence that the person is trying to hide assets. They'll be found, but in addition to being found, it shows that they tried to hide them, which is worse than if they didn't try to hide them at all, because now you have maybe sanctions against that person. So don't worry about a CPN, credit privacy number. It's not going to help your debtor hide assets that are legally entitled to have transfer to you.